Today's program is brought to you by OTCStockShark.com. For the latest and greatest OTC and Pink Sheets information, sign up for your account at OTCStockShark.com. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.
In financial news, stocks battled to a stalemate on Federal Reserve uncertainty over how to handle the faltering economic recovery, ending the market's worst August since 2001. The Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the day up 4.9% or 0.05% at 10,014 after spending parts of the day below the psychologically significant 10,000 level. The Blue Chip Index shed 4.3% this month as investors lowered their economic growth expectations in response to a flood of weak data. The Dow's performance this month is its worst since May, and the measure's first down August in 5 years. The S&P 500 index gained 0.04% to 1,049, while the NASDAQ Composite shed 0.3% to close at 2,114. The S&P slid 4.7% for August, while the NASDAQ shed 6.2%. Small-cap stocks, seen as a leading indicator of the economy, took an even bigger hit in August. The Russell 2000 index of small-cap stocks posted its worst August in 12 years, down 7.5%. In U.S. news, how good is one teacher compared to another? A growing number of school districts have adopted a system called value-added modeling to answer that question, provoking battles from Washington to Los Angeles, with some saying it's an effective method of increasing teacher accountability and others arguing that it can give an inaccurate picture of teachers' work. The system calculates the value teachers add to their students' achievement based on changes in test scores from year to year and how the students perform compared with other students in their grade. Use of the value-added modeling is exploding nationwide. Hundreds of school systems, including those in Chicago, New York, and Washington, are already using it to measure the performance of their schools and teachers. Many more are expected to join them, partly because the Obama administration has prodded states and districts to develop more effective teacher evaluation systems than traditional classroom observation by administrators. Though the value-added method is often used to help educators improve their classroom teaching, it has also been a factor in deciding who receives bonuses, how much they are, and even who gets fired. Michelle Rhee, a school chancellor in Washington, fired about 25 teachers this summer after they rated poorly in evaluations based in part on value-added analysis of scores. In international news, speaking somberly about the end of combat operations in Iraq, Defense Secretary Robert Gates warned that now is not the time for premature victory parades. In a speech to the American Legion's National Convention, Mr. Gates avoided any triumphant declaration that the mission in Iraq had been accomplished. The uneasy peace of Baghdad, Mr. Gates said, had come at a great cost, with 4,427 U.S. service members killed and another 34,265 wounded. And the mission, he said, was incomplete. Iraq is still without coalition government months after its election, and a political compromise remains elusive. Mr. Gates drew a number of parallels between Iraq and Afghanistan, beginning with the skepticism that the Iraq surge was met with in 2007. He acknowledged that the U.S. public's impatience about the pace of progress this year in Afghanistan, but he noted that the full complement of additional troops ordered to Afghanistan by President Barack Obama is only now arriving.
Hi, I'm Chef Tony, and now there's a knife so sharp you can cut a pineapple in midair. It's the Miracle Blade 3 Perfection Series. This is my all-purpose slicer, the ultimate in slicing knives. You'll also get Rock and Chop, rips through ribs, plus you'll receive my fillet and boning knife. Fillet fish right down to the skin. And my Chop and Scoop. Chop parsley and fresh herbs in seconds. Watch, flex, and scoop right to your favorite recipe. And you get my paring knife. Curved to peel fruits and veggies. I'll also send you 4 steak knives. Call now and you'll get my Perfection shears and a second Miracle Blade slicer absolutely free.
But wait, we'll send you a second complete set of knives free. Just imagine, that's now nearly $500 worth of knives for just one payment of only $39.95. And if you don't think the Miracle Blades are the best knives you've ever used, just return them for a full refund. So call now.
In entertainment news, the Primetime Emmy Awards telecast was watched by 13.5 million U.S. viewers, up slightly from the total audience of 13.3 million that tuned in 1 year ago. The show, which aired on the NBC network, was hosted by Jimmy Fallon and was advanced roughly 1 month to August from mid-September, when it traditionally has been broadcast, to avoid competition with popular football broadcasts. Last year, for instance, a football game that aired opposite the Emmys had about 65% more viewers than the award show. Also, for the first time, the Primetime Emmys aired live in all the zones across the United States, as compared to previous tape-delayed broadcasts on the West Coast, which meant it aired outside primetime in heavily populated California. While the 2009 Emmys featured big wins from existing shows such as Mad Men and 30 Rock, this year's show saw infusion of new programs including Glee, Modern Family, and The Good Wife. In tech news, explosive bursts normally seen only on the surface of the sun can now be captured in a 13-foot-long tube using lab-created plasmas and bursts of laser light. Physicists have created a scaled-down model of solar eruptions called coronal mass ejections, which can wreak havoc on satellites and create beautiful northern light displays on Earth. The new experiment suggests that these eruptions are set off when gushes of charged particles flow into twisted loops of magnetic field that extend from the sun's upper atmosphere. Plasma physicist at the University of California, Walter Geckelman, said that you can do things in the lab that are absolutely impossible to do in space. Mr. Geckelman and UCLA scientists have created miniature versions of enormous loops of solar matter called arced magnetic rope flux. These twisted magnetic ropes can sit comfortably on the sun's surface for hours or days, transporting energy and matter from the solar surface to the outer atmosphere, but eventually they explode, shooting tons of charged particles out into space like a slingshot. These loopy time bombs have been photographed by observatories like the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, but how they form and what makes them collapse is still unknown. In fashion news, coveted invitations to New York's Fashion Week will be a little easier to snag next month, with the unveiling of a public runway show designed to inspire shoppers to add to their wardrobes for fall and winter. While designers will be showing their collections for spring and summer 2011 exclusively to retailers and the media, the September 7th public fashion show will kick off Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week and remind consumers of the styles they can buy now. The show is a new addition to the second annual Fashions Night Out, a retail initiative by U.S. Vogue editor Anna Wintour that aims to get people shopping as the United States struggles to shake off its worst recession in decades. Mayor Michael Bloomberg said at a news conference announcing details of Fashions Night Out, "The fashion business is big business here in the Big Apple, which is offering consumers more opportunities to retailers and designers to show what they have to offer and helping strengthen our economy in these tough times." In New York, fashion is the second largest industry behind finance. The city is home to more than 800 fashion companies, employing 175,000 people and generating $10 billion in wages. In green news, turns out that deep-sea crabs aren't the only underwater wildlife to eat wood. An Amazonian armored catfish does too. A new species with teeth shaped like spoons for scooping up wood from fallen logs has been discovered by freshwater scientist Paulo Petri and the Fitzgerald Arc, a remote part of the Peruvian Amazon. And in what seems to be the daily narrative of newly discovered species, it is already under threat from development. The Nature Conservancy reports that the new species was caught at the junction of the Purus and Caranja rivers. The armored catfish, unique to South America, are relatively specialized, but only a small group of catfish species will eat wood. According to Mr. Petrie, there are 4,700 freshwater fish species in South America right now. On average, over 100 species per year have been discovered. This year alone, 69 new species have been described thus far. These numbers show very clearly that we are far from knowing the number of freshwater species in South America. And yet, development in the Amazon could threaten the existence of many of the species. There are several hundred proposed infrastructure development projects, including roads which will also bring lumber extraction, cattle ranching, and slash-and-burn agriculture. While the indigenous communities object to the roads, the government seems set on moving forward with them. It's especially unnerving because, as Mr. Petrie states, this is still one of the most pristine areas of rainforest left on Earth, and it has good wood-eating catfish.
Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.